Welcome to the NeuroHeir Podcast, the show for cycle breakers, parents, young adults, and helping professionals ready to understand their nervous system through a generational lens, heal what isn't theirs to carry, and consciously choose what comes next. Hi, I'm your host, Leanna Hunt, an associate clinical mental health counselor and certified performance coach. Each week, you'll get stories, science, and somatic practices, plus my signature 4N framework: notice, name, nurture, and navigate, to help you honor resilience, break silence, and build deeper connection with yourself and those you love, all while shaping a legacy of safety, freedom, and possibility. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the NeuroHeir Podcast. I hope wherever you are listening, this episode finds you well. And you guys, I am so excited to have Lori Montry on the podcast. Lori, can you say hi to everybody?
Hello, I'm excited to be here. I love the corner of the world you've created, and I can't wait to have a conversation and learn and grow and all the things.
Same, you guys. I've been looking forward to this conversation for several weeks. And before we get into it with Lori, I want to read you her bio because I don't want to miss anything because it's so amazing. So Lori Montry is a somatic healing practitioner and author of You're Not the Problem, which we'll get into in a minute, and the creator of the Freedom Framework, a nervous system-based roadmap for sustainable behavioral change. She helps people who feel stuck in stress, overwhelm, or self-sabotage understand the survival patterns driving their choices so they can build the safety, capacity, and clarity needed to take aligned action in every area of their lives. And if you guys are hearing already, you can probably see why I asked Lori to be on the show, because we have so many things in common, except for this part, which I'm very excited about. Drawing on her Harvard law background, Lori translates complex concepts like trauma, stress, physiology, and nervous system science into practical, immediately usable tools. Her work is anchored in the belief that coping behaviors such as emotional eating, overthinking, overachieving, and people-pleasing are not personal failures, which we agree on all those points, but intelligent adaptations the body creates for protection. Lori's approach is grounded in lived experience. After decades of wrestling with anxiety, emotional eating, and the pressure to perform, she discovered that mindset work and willpower couldn't shift what her nervous system was still holding. That journey led her to somatic and trauma-informed modalities and shaped the method she teaches today. Identify the pattern, understand the need beneath it, and rebuild safety from the inside out. Lori, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. And I know, like you said, the alignment here between your work, we're going to have a great time today.
Yeah, we are. So tell me, I know we read the bio, but just as you hear your own bio, I always love to ask, like, what's coming up for you when I ask the question, who is Lori Montry?
Yeah, I think I definitely would have answered that question a lot of different ways throughout the years.
Sure.
But when I hear it now, I think to myself, first of all, gratitude. Because, 20 years ago or more, I would have never thought that would be a description of me. Gratitude, and also just inside, I'm kind of jumping up and down. Like, yes, this is so exciting to be able to talk about this and maybe give someone a little inroad into that healing and growth that we've got to experience. And so it's just pure alignment and joy at this point. So yeah.
And I feel that too.
Up. Yeah.
I feel that alignment and joy, just because I just love connecting with other women that are doing similar nervous system work, but also have their own takes on it, because our life experiences bring us to where we are, right?
Exactly. Yes. And it is the beauty of our experiences. And for someone to be able to say, I lived this, right? It's not a theory that I learned, and it's not something that, I'm applying from something else. This really happened to me, and I really did use these tools. And I would say, continue to use these tools every day.
Yeah. I think that's why we got to where we did, because we needed tools that maybe we couldn't find other places. Would you agree?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And all of our detours and dead ends sometimes, hopefully that's going to make it easier for other people who find themselves, kind of really resonating with the conversation.
Well, I love that. So we have a lot of like moms, burnt out moms, women trying to break cycles, some men to young adults that are learning how to, about their nervous system, how to change patterns, how to understand that what they're going through isn't a definition of who they are. So it's just kind of reading your bio. Can you kind of just talk about maybe the point from the Harvard law side into what you're doing now and maybe some of your lived experiences and how it took you from that to nervous system work?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's back up a little bit. I talk a lot in the book about adaptations. And what I mean by that is just that's what we do as humans, right? We are constantly adapting to our environment and to our experiences. And we adapt in ways, especially when we're young. We're trying to make sense of the world. We're trying to navigate. And so I, like everyone else, adapted to my environment. I go into it a lot more in the book, but my environment was one where my family was completely overwhelmed by the time I arrived on the scene. I was the sixth of 7 children. My mom already had a very fragile nervous system, and things were pretty chaotic for me. And then there was a period of abuse for a time when I was around 4 years old. And so I did what every other human does. I adapted. And I adapted in the 3 ways that we all adapt, which is patterns of thought, patterns of nervous system, and patterns of behavior. So some of the thoughts that I learned and developed patterns for myself was that I was a burden. My needs were too much, and if I just kept them to myself, things would be much better. I learned that the closest to perfect that I could be, the safer my environment was. I also learned to be hypervigilant, to be on alert for the threats that were all around me, to be hypervigilant about other people's needs. And I also learned how to shut down. When things got overwhelming, I learned how to just kind of go away, right? And as far as behaviors go, I became an overachieving perfectionist with an emotional eating challenge. And so
that's very similar.
Yeah. So those were the adaptations that I built. And the thing about adaptations is they don't change when your environment changes. They change when the conditions are right. And so I built a whole life around those adaptations, and it led me to overachieving in everything that I did. I did, set my sights on if I was going to go to law school, I was going to go to the Harvard Law School. If I was going to have children, I had 6. I got to do everything, because I'm always in a constant state of trying to prove myself, trying to earn the air that I breathe, right?
Oh man, yeah. I just have to pause because everything you're saying, Lori, I'm like, we could be best friends just based on our stories.
Yeah, we're twins separated at birth, right? Yeah.
Very, very similar. Yeah, no, just keep going. Sorry, everything that you're saying, I'm nodding my head because I'm just like, yes, it's so amazing to talk to somebody else that I feel like, wow, so many parallels already.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it is. And even though, other people's story don't look exactly the same, it is the same because we adapt and then we build a life on that adaptations.
For sure.
And then at some point, hopefully, we wake up and we realize, wow, I don't like this. Like, this is not aligned. This is not authentic for me. This is based on the adaptations that I created, and they're not wrong. They were brilliant. They helped me survive. And so if we have the privilege of recognizing that we're adapted and not in alignment, then we can begin the process of adapting again, this time towards our wholeness, our truth, the things that we want in life. But the way that we usually go about it is by attacking our behaviors, right? We want to perfect. So we use the same methodology that got us into the mess to try to get us out. And that's where I was for another, once I kind of realized what was going on, I still tried to use all of my old patterns to get me out, which didn't work. And it left me in a place.
Well, because that's what we know. That's what.
Of course. We didn't have any other pathway, any other options, right? And that's what our work is all about, is about showing people the other pathways. And it's not easy. I mean, when you've developed something as a child and you've been living from it, You know,
For sure.
it isn't easy, but it is doable. It's not only doable, it's very natural. When the conditions are right, we humans will adapt again. And so the emphasis in my work is not about how do we, change your behavior, how do we, create everything from a behavioral standpoint, but what are the conditions that you need in order to be able to adapt again? And that's my safety, capacity, and energy framework. And those are the conditions that when we have those, we have that solid foundation that we can build on and change from. That's where change happens, not from force and willpower. And everyone listening already knows that because they've done it and it hasn't worked.
Totally. Yeah. And I think I did an episode about willpower, I think towards the beginning of the year. So we talked a lot about why willpower isn't sustainable, and also kind of a cognitive behavioral therapy triangle approach where thoughts affect emotions, emotions affect behaviors. But I even like to take it that our belief systems, like I'm a burden, right? That was the one that you said, that belief pattern did try to help protect you at some point. But when we live in that belief system, that usually generates emotions that are maybe the shutdown or the need to people please or the fear or whatever that is. And then that drives our behavior. And so oftentimes when people come to me for coaching or come in for clinical therapy, they're coming because, and we've talked about this on the show too, they're coming in to try to change the behavior.
Yes.
I think we're so focused on trying to change the behavior, and I see you nodding your head too, and we can go into that too. But like when I was for 20 years, trying to change my relationship with food, I was trying to change the behavior. Yeah. And it wasn't until I finally learned too that, I actually need to explore this belief that I'm not good enough, because that actually is driving ultimately what the behavior is, and that I couldn't shift that belief without feeling safe in my body and in my environment.
Amen.
Exactly.
Yes, 1,000%. And it's, I just want to name that it is, for me at least, and I think for a lot of people, it's freaking terrifying to be in the place where you're saying, I'm not going to run back to the diet. I'm not going to continue to, beat myself for all of those things, because we don't know any other way, as we were talking about before. And so, that held at least the promise. It never worked, but it might have worked for a few days. It might have worked for a couple weeks. So it holds the promise. If I can just stay consistent and disciplined, then I will get what I want.
Totally. Or maybe that would prove that I wasn't a burden, or it would prove my worth. Like, I just resonate with that so much.
Yeah.
It's like, man, if I could just stick with it this time, like that is going to prove something about me.
Yeah. I'm going to finally be enough for a moment, at least. Yeah.
Finally going to be enough. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why when you're identifying that underlying belief, that's really the place where we have the biggest opportunity. But when you're struggling and you're inside a body that doesn't feel good, or inside behaviors that doesn't feel good, to step back and say, I'm going to let go of the fixing and the idea that I'm broken for a few minutes, so I can look at this other thing that might be the real cause of my suffering. That is so brave, and it is hard. And I think that even if you understand the concept, there's so much that goes into being able to do that and stay with it, in a way. And so that's what, I think yours and my work is so centered on. It's like, this is not a hard concept to understand, right? And there's probably a lot of people nodding their heads like, oh, that kind of makes sense. But it's hard. It's scary to let go of the promise that our behaviors have, our control behaviors have offered us.
Well, again, we needed them at some point. It doesn't always consciously make sense, right? Why?
Right.
How did that pattern actually help us? But even that hypervigilance that you mentioned, like, hypervigilance is a form of protection. Our brains and our nervous systems and our bodies are so brilliant at adapting. And at some point we needed that. So when for you did you realize you didn't need to operate the way that you were?
Yeah. It certainly wasn't a light bulb moment. It was more like a phase where it kind of slowly unfolded, you know. I think probably the biggest turning point that I might say opened a little crack for me was I had signed up for a summit, and the summit was on, I want to say it was on something like food addiction or something like that. And of course, I signed up for it to figure out, okay, tell me what to eat. Tell me how to, control myself better. That was my motivation. Yes, that was my motivation. But inside that summit, there were a lot of experts who were sharing the idea that my behavior made sense. And I had never given it that grace before. I had never allowed me to think, this makes sense. There's a reason I'm doing this. I just said, you are broken. That's why you do this. You're a willpower weakling. You suck. That's why you're doing all these things. So just that little crack, and it didn't change much of anything, but it did get me starting asking some new questions. What if it did make sense? What is this all about? I didn't start changing my behavior for a while still. I had to create that safety. And that's how I found the nervous system work, realizing that until I felt safe, I could have all of this knowledge, but I wouldn't be able to integrate it into my experience, into me. And the body really was that missing piece. So I love how you talk about, of course it has to do with thoughts and feelings, but the thoughts are being generated by a nervous system that either feels safe or does not. And so that is the foundation. That's the basement in this beautiful house that we're building. And if we can start there, not have to fix everything all at once, but if we can just put the focus for a little bit on the nervous system and bring some safety, then everything that we've been trying so hard to achieve suddenly becomes possible.
It's beautiful. I love that in the basement of the house, because that is our foundation. And without safety, without actually feeling safe in our body, we can't, I don't think, have or achieve what it is that we ultimately desire. Maybe we don't even know what we desire, because we're still looking so much into that I'm not good enough, right? But so for you, from the safety perspective, like, what would you want to share with everybody as far as, because I think if you get on Instagram and stuff, more people are talking about safety, somatic practitioners and stuff, but some people I still maybe listening to don't even really know what safety means or feels like, because they actually haven't felt it or experienced it in a really long time.
Yeah. And that was the case for me. I had never felt safe in my body. I probably didn't feel safe in utero. And so I had nothing to relate to. But it's one of the reasons I am so grateful for platforms like yours, because, you're not talking about safety as in a hack. Do this exercise and bring safety to your system. That's not what we're talking about. And actually, I think in some ways, it's kind of frustrating to hear that kind of information, because the nervous system is not something to hack. The nervous system is actually the compass. It's not something that we're trying to control. We are going to the compass as our guidance. And so nervous system, I have to get to know my nervous system. I can't feel safe in something that I don't know and understand. We wouldn't feel safe with a person that doesn't know or understand us. And it's in that knowing and understanding that and responding in an attuned way that we develop safety. So if we could just imagine for ourselves having somebody beside us 100% of the time, this person knows us, understands us, cares for us, and is committed to meeting our needs. If we could just kind of sit in that for a minute, in this capable, resource, brilliant, companion for us, that's what safety feels like. And we develop that with ourselves. And one of the most essential pieces is that safety in our system, is understanding and knowing our system and being able to respond to it, being able to respond to your needs. That's where safety lives.
And I think that that's really, really important, because for most of us, or all of us, at some point our nervous system learned to adapt because maybe we didn't feel like we could get our needs met in whatever way that meant. Sometimes really small ways, sometimes really big ways. And I think that that's a really hard thing for a lot of women I've talked to, is even being able to express themselves and say what they need. That is really scary sometimes.
It absolutely is, because, for me, in my system anyway, expressing my needs meant love would be taken away. So why would we want to do that? Right? So it's about not overriding the system, but helping the system feel safe enough to slowly try on, what the alternative, what else could be true here. But, that's one of the things about working with our thoughts without bringing in the body piece. You're just going to, keep running around the same thoughts, saying the same mantras, trying to convince yourself of something that your body doesn't think is true. And we could spend years and years and so much energy and time and money trying to do that. Whereas if we bring that body piece in and provide safety first, then, okay, maybe this is okay for me to try on and work towards this new belief system. So it makes so much sense. And it's really, I think, just such a missing piece that just people need to hear about. They need to understand. And, they don't have to do it perfectly from day one, but that's the starting point.
Truly is a starting point. I feel like I say safety is kind of like the gateway into everything else. It's kind of like the key that helps us be able to explore what else is possible.
Yes. Yes. That saying, that we see not in the nervous system context, but we need to bring it into the nervous system context, which is safety first. Right? We hear that on the job site or here, there. Safety first. That. Absolutely. True. We need bumper stickers, right? That remind us. Nervous system safety first.
I think that that's really, really important. And just even as you were talking about just imagining that there's this version of us or this person beside us, right, that can do it all, that has that capacity. Like, I could even just feel myself taking a deep breath. It's just that reminder that no matter what we've been through, I like to say there's always a part of us, if we go with Dr. Schwartz's IFS language, right, our core self, but there's always a part of us that does know. There's always a part of us that has expansive thinking, open-mindedness, belief that we can heal. It's just usually that all the other belief systems or the other parts of us, that what we've been through, our lived experience, are sometimes just so much louder than that part of us that actually knows we can do it.
Yeah, I love, and I use the model. It's one of my primary tools. It's a different version. But, I think of that part that you're describing. I don't think of it as a part. I actually think of it as our true self, right? It is who we really are, right? And if we just kind of really simplify it into a usable example, that is if we think of all of the parts of us, we're riding on a bus. And who do we want driving the bus? We want that sacred self, as I would call. And then all of the parts are welcome. We're not trying to kick anybody off the bus. They have valuable information that help us navigate our bus, right? But they should never, ever drive.
Totally.
They cannot see over the dash and work the pedals at the same time. So when we let parts lead, we are driving over curbs, hitting stop signs, sometimes going over cliffs, because they're not capable of driving us in a way. So bringing that safety, but that requires safety, right? The parts are going to vie for that driver's seat unless they feel safe enough and that there is a capable resource as a driver. And so again, right, it comes back to feeling safe enough to take their seat somewhere in the back, fasten their seatbelt, enjoy the view out the window. Like, that's the ideal. When we can get our parts feeling safe enough to do that and they help navigate, then we've got what we need.
Lori, this is so cool because I've talked so much about our beliefs are kind of like, we look at where we're going in our life and we can kind of look at what belief is driving our car, our life, and where we're going, and how do we get that core self, that sacred self, that true self, the higher self, how do we get that into the driver's seat? And you kind of talked about safety. Do you have any steps that we could offer listeners today that are trying to experience, like whether they're dealing with people pleasing, emotional eating. I just feel like there's so many behaviors we could fit into
scrolling, wine, shopping, gambling, gaming, like, yes.
Pornography. I mean, it doesn't like, so when we look at all these behaviors from a nervous system lens and trying to actually feel safe, how does your framework kind of fit into that? I'm wondering what you're willing to share with everybody listening today.
Yeah. And I just want to say, because I appreciate it so much, that, I'm sure we studied a lot of the same, material and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that we're coming to truths and ways that are so similar in how it really speaks to me, like there is that core, essence of how to work with the human, the human system. And so I just wanted to name how lovely that is. It for me, it resonates in my soul to think, yes, totally. there's a truth, and it's not exactly, word for whatever, but it just feels so nice to be touching into that. So nice. Thank you for saying that. It really does. Yeah. Like my whole insides are like, this is so awesome. Yeah. And it feels so, yes, it's out there. It's happening. We're able to share this stuff from that lived experience. So, how do we, these behaviors, as we've said, they all have the same root. So we could talk about any one of them individually, but we're talking about all the same things. And so with respect to those behaviors, the starting point again is developing this resource for yourself, developing this one who will be there with you. And it starts, the very, very first step is getting to know and understand your nervous system. And that's really, truly, that's the only thing you need to do as a first step. And when you've, not perfectly, but when you've got some idea about that and you're able to show up in an attuned way to start meeting your needs, then you will know the next step and the next step. And that's what our frameworks are all about, right? Is leading people through the steps. Right. And I know that I wanted so bad to have just tell me the thing that will fix this for me, because it is so painful to be in this behavior, in this life, in this, and so it was really hard for me to step back and stop trying to fix everything all at once and just get to know my nervous system. So I just want to, acknowledge, like, that is part of the process, is giving yourself the permission to do that. And, one of the things that I have developed over the years is what I call the nervous system. Your nervous system is talking, learning to listen. So it's a resource that offers one way to check in and get to know your nervous system. It's based on a quick 5 times a day process. And there I created a guide, a resource, both video and PDF, along with some cheat sheets and some worksheets, so that you really have a structure. It's so easy to hear about, I need to get to know my nervous system. Okay. What the hell does that mean again?
Yeah. What does that actually look like?
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about it right now, right? Well, I shouldn't say everybody. I feel like everybody is talking about it. But what does that actually mean? Yeah. To get to know your nervous system.
Yeah. So this is a starting point from which you can, of course, there's not a magic formula, but it's a starting point that people can take and start to just learn to listen, because your nervous system doesn't speak, right, in the same language as the mind. There are no words, there are no concepts and things. It's sensation, it's tension and pressure and all kinds of things. So we just need to kind of learn that language that we were never taught. In fact, we were taught how to override it, right?
Totally.
Don't listen to that in some form. Yeah.
We fought it, we ran away from it, we kind of got stunned or completely shut down, right? So I think there's so many different ways that we interacted that way.
Even the message, even our school experience, right? Your body wants to, you want to move, you want to do this, sit still, finish your, whatever it is. So it's, and it's something that is very natural. I've never met a person that wasn't capable of doing it. It might take a little extra time here or there, whatever, but it's so worth it. Taking the time to build that foundation.
So how do people find that resource?
Yeah, that resource is at LoriMontry.com/guide. It also lives on the website, LoriMontry.com, with a lot of other resources, because that was something that was very meaningful to me. I didn't know where to go, and I don't think I believed that I was worth the extra support. So I really benefited from a lot of people's free resources. So that was something important to me. So there's a lot there on the website, and hopefully a greater understanding and some real practical steps to get started.
I love that you're sharing that. So we'll link all of Lori's information in the show notes so you guys can go to that and download that free guide. That's so beautiful that you offer that as a free resource. Just thank you for even putting free resources out there. You know, I think that that's something my hope is that there's more people willing to share free resources and tools and things, because that just helps somebody feel like, I don't know, build trust, get to know you better. And also I think it brings hope, because I just remember for so many years, like you said, there just wasn't what I needed out there. And I looked and I searched and I couldn't find it. And now there's amazing humans that are putting out content to help all of you listening, right? Because again, there wasn't the resource out there when we needed it.
Exactly. But I will say, you know, it gives us the real connection with the work. Like we didn't learn it so much as we lived it, and I think that
Totally.
it just creates for us a much better place from which to guide and support.
That's beautiful. So another question, kind of going back to, I'm going to call you that version of you, law school Lori.
Yeah.
So when you think about law school Lori to where you are now, I'm just wondering, like, maybe even what you would want to say to that version of you now, based on where you've come, how far you've come, what you've learned, because I know there's so many people listening that are in their own version of trying to do the biggest thing to prove themselves, to prove their worth, that are exhausted, that are burnt out, that are just overeating or over drinking or not sleeping. I just want you all to know that, like, we hear you, we feel you. I just, even though I don't talk to you every day, like everybody, we can't talk to everybody every day that reads our content and consumes our info, but I just feel you and feel like what you're needing. So for those of you listening, like, Lori, what would you say to that part of you, and also maybe to that version of everybody out there, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Well, what you said was so beautiful, and I was just thinking about her, law school Lori, you know, and thinking about how damaged she felt and broken. And what I would really want her to know, and why I titled the book, you're not the problem. You're not broken. Everything makes sense. Everything you do, everything you're experiencing makes sense. You adapted once, you can adapt again, and you are, and I'm here with you. That's what I really wanted to hear. I'm here with you. I'm right here, sweetheart. I'm right here. I never left. I got you. That's what I would really love. I didn't have the ability to say it, but I say it to her now.
How does that even feel in your body to offer that compassion to a younger part of you, another version of you? Because she's still in you. She is you.
Exactly. You know, it's been such a progression, because it's been a part of my daily practice. Some parts of me, you know, are needing me in the day, and to have that conversation. And it is a feeling of where, instead of the brick in my tummy that used to live, you know, that unsettledness of the angry butterflies, you know, that it's literally a lifting, like a lightness in my belly, like, oh my gosh, I'm so, like, that excitement, like a first date or something like that. It's, oh my gosh, you know, to have that need met, that need that I didn't even know what it was about, to have that met in that way from someone I can rely on. Hands down, there is no question whether I can rely on this person, you know. It is a glorious feeling. It's all of life is different. And I know that sounds a little bit, you know what I mean, but just to a listener, it might sound, all of life is different, really. It really is.
Really is.
Nothing is the same when you have that with yourself, for yourself. Yeah.
So true. So true. And I love what you shared to your younger self like that. I just resonated with, I got emotional about that. And I think that that's something like, maybe if people are thinking, okay, how could it actually be different? Like, what is something that you want those listening to maybe be able to offer themselves today, especially if it's new? Like, we've tried this on the podcast before. Maybe you're a new listener, or you just found the show, or for whatever reason. Like, Lori, what is something that you want to encourage everybody to try to say to themselves or sit with after they listen today, or even right now?
Yeah. I think it's so foreign for so many of us to feel like there is that sacred self within us,
100%,
and just to, that's okay. But what I want them to know is that it is there. There's no question. There's no question about whether or not it exists. And it knows the answer to everything. We don't need to know those answers today, but little by little, if you can just be open to the idea that it exists and that I might be able to find it, then things are going to start to feel different. It is there. It can't be lost.
Can't be lost, and things will feel different.
Yes, exactly.
And I kind of feel like, yeah, it's like there is another option. There's another doorway. There's always another way to see something. There's another opportunity. And so much of that, again, goes back to us even connecting with that part of us, and experiencing safety. For some of you, maybe it's the first time ever that you're consciously, when I say conscious, it's not that you haven't had moments of safety, but where you're consciously allowing yourself to feel safe, and even realizing that you are capable of achieving and becoming and believing and thinking and feeling whatever it is that you have wanted to.
Yes. And I would say, because of our journeys and the life that we used to live in the I'll say torment, that we used to feel.
Totally. Yeah.
There are people who really care about you.
I love that.
When I left my law practice, I had no idea. I was like, what am I didn't care. If I could help one person feel the way and experience a new life like that, if I could help one person, of course it would be worth it.
Totally.
And I hear in your voice, and I know that you feel the same way. So there are people who really care.
Really do care.
Really do care. You don't have to do this alone. I thought I did. I didn't even want to tell anybody. Nobody knew about all of my secret behaviors. Nobody knew. I had never offered myself, the opportunity, the grace of sharing with a single living soul. And so you're not alone in this.
Same.
We really do. I can
Really
tell.
do
We
care.
really do care. It's our mission in life.
Yeah, and there's so much power in, man, just when you said that, because so much of my life was so alone in those behaviors.
Yeah. And we feel like we're the only one. That's one of the things I love about my group spaces, is it's like, they show up and they're like, oh, you do that too. I mean, we know people do. There's, all the resources and stuff out there. We know we're not the only ones, but we feel like we are.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's the other thing too, I'll tie back in to kind of wrap up, is with safety. Like, we even see in the autonomic nervous system that when we are in parasympathetic, that we can expand our peripheral vision. When we're in fight or flight, when we're in sympathetic, we can see that our eyes even go into tunnel vision. And so when we can feel safe in our body, it's almost like we can start to see how many other people out there care, how many other people are experiencing something like us, maybe not the same thing, but their own version. And in that safety, we can explore so many possibilities for support, for community, for healing, for opportunity. And people, like finding people like Lori, I just want to acknowledge that I would never have been connected with you if I hadn't done my own work at some point, right? And vice versa.
Right, exactly, which is just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it just feels like such an affirmation for me, in the work. It's like, yes,
Yeah.
this is so real, and it's out there, and there are aligned people doing amazing things. So you're not alone.
Not alone.
There is a way. You may not see it today. I think of it like a bridge that we're crossing, and it's very foggy right now, So
Totally.
we may only be able to see the next step in front of us, but trust that the next step will be there when you need it.
Yeah, and that all starts going back to what you talked about, safety, right?
Yes.
Safety, being able to feel that, and even just believe that safety is possible, even if you don't right now. Even the belief, like,
yes,
that safety could be possible, that it is possible, no matter what your lived experiences are, what you're currently experiencing right now.
Yeah, exactly. There is a step that's available today.
There is. Well, Lori, I've just loved talking to you. I feel just our energy is just connected to everything you've said. It's just a yes to everything. So in closing, just kind of tell people you have your book out, what other things you have or you want them to know, and just kind of a message. Just going to put that all to you, Lori. Just wrap us up.
All right. Yeah. No, I just, I really would invite people to visit the website and see what resonates. There's some emotional eating information. There's this, there's that. So you will know, your guidance will tell you what could be helpful. But the thing that I'm most excited about right now is the book. It was really an effort to put everything kind of under one roof with respect to the safety, capacity, and energy. And as I was writing it, I kept having this nagging feeling like, Lori, you're writing a book for people who are already in overwhelm. Books that ask something of us, especially when we're in overwhelm and in survival, they just end up collecting dust on the nightstand. And so I really thought to myself, there has to be more support available here. And so I created a reader circle where we all get together and talk about the concepts in the book, support one another, stay consistent, and receive guidance and support. And so the book and the reader circle is a really special place to me. And I would love, for people to check it out and see if it's something that resonates within them.
Awesome. That just sounds so amazing. And I need to read your book too. I'm excited too. Thank you so much. Anything else you want to leave the listeners? It's just, we're all in different stages of hope and exploration of our nervous system and what's possible. So just kind of any last words there.
Yeah. Just keep coming back to, you're not the problem. You are not the problem. That was a real starting point and something that needs to be reaffirmed over and over. Yeah.
And I think there's so much freedom and possibility once you actually can sit in this idea. Maybe you don't even want to adopt it today.
Yeah.
But what if you could just sit in this idea and the question, I'm going to leave it like that. What if you aren't the problem?
Yes. Maybe I'm not. That truly was my starting point. Oh.
Maybe I'm not.
Maybe I'm not the problem.
Maybe I'm not the problem. What if something isn't quote unquote wrong with me?
Wrong with me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys will all check out Lori's information. Make sure you check out the show notes. There's going to be a lot of great information there. And Lori, thank you so much for taking time to be with me today.
It was such a pleasure. And I thank you for your work in the world and just, wish you all the best to keep getting this out there and continue to touch lives.
Same. I'm so excited to see where you go and what ends up happening for you and all those that get to find you and experience your work. So you guys, I hope you can take moments to experience beauty this week, those little glimmers that help remind our nervous system that we can feel safe, that we get to be grateful for being alive, and that we can feel and experience safety in our body, I think is ultimately the hope and goal I want to leave with all of you today. So until next time, bye guys.